Shalom, shalom. This is your brother Shataria here at Chicago Branch, Great Millstone, prophesizing the return of the Heavenly Father Yahweh and the Son Yahweh Shai. You all ignorantly call him Jesus, but his true and Hebrew name is Yahweh Shai. Coming at you with another lesson, but as always, before we get started, we're going to give all praise, all honor, all glory to Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Rekakadash. Double honors to our apostles and our elders here at Great Millstone who rule well. Honors to the hopeful elect. The so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans are the biblical and true Hebrews of the Bible. Salutation to all the Akim out there pushing this word in truth and sincerity, the speckled bird, and all those whose lineage goes back to our forefathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, healthy Barakatha, and to the Akwaf, and those of you out there listening and learning, Shalom and Barakatha to you also. This is a response video, okay, to 40 acres. I should have been done this video a week ago, but my phone went dead where I couldn't access anything, and also I couldn't do a video. Every time I attempt to do one, it would go out on me, insufficient space. Then try to pull things up and it just went haywire. So I had to get a new phone, and in the process, I lost a lot of my information and all of my subscribers also. So Babu Kusha Akim, if you like the videos, by all means, please subscribe to my channel so I can get my viewership back up. And without any further ado, let's jump right in, okay? Response video to 40 Acres, and it was a very spiritual movie, okay? In many different aspects, it was a very spiritual movie, okay? Getting right to it, when the movie first came on and they opened up, it was like 3 or 4 different things at the beginning. One, it said 14 years ago, a fungal pandemic decimated 98% of the animal biosphere, okay? So that lets you know it was pretty much like a apocalyptic era, a futuristic and apocalyptic time that they were living in, okay? And that plagues had decimated the animal biosphere, okay? Exodus, let's grab Exodus 9:3, okay? Exodus 9:3 says, "Behold, the hand of the Lord is upon thy cattle, which is in the field, upon the horses, upon the asses, upon the camels, upon the oxen, upon the sheep. There shall be a very grievous murrain," okay? Murrain, all right? So that fungal pandemic decimated 98% of the animal biosphere, okay? So that lets you know that, plagues, okay? And that's how Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai operates, all right? And that decimated everything, okay? So it was basically an apocalyptic time that they were in. Number 2, 12 years ago, a second civil war broke out as a result of a global food chain collapse, okay? Now, I have a couple of scriptures for that 2nd Ezra 15th chapter, okay, 2nd Ezra 16th chapter. Both of those come into play, but I think I'll close the lesson with those, all right? We will get to those 2 precepts before the lesson concludes, all right? But again, number 2 said 12 years ago, a second civil war broke out as a result of a global food chain collapse, all right? Okay, so that civil war and and it was caused because of lack of goods, okay, which really plays into that 2nd Ezra 15th chapter, we'll start around 14 and close the lesson with that. But civil war. Let's go to Isaiah. Let's go to Isaiah 19 and 2. And it says, Isaiah 19 and 2, and I will set the Egyptians against the Egyptians, and they shall fight everyone against his brother, and everyone against his neighbor, city against city, and kingdom against kingdom. Okay, so that's where we were at, right there. That's where we're at right now, firsthand, real time, actually. But as you see, when the movie first came on, they were bum rushing them, like trying to get into they food, they crops. And you seen the children, the little girl was in the window and she was trained, in marksmanship. You could tell she had been trained how to shoot a rifle, okay? They had chores, okay? It was a very orderly fashion in which they moved in and how they operated. Very spiritual, okay? And number 3, it says, 11 years ago, famine spread across the planet, okay? Famine spread across the planet, okay? Let's go to Genesis there. Let's get Genesis 26, okay? Let's grab Genesis. All right, let's get Genesis 26 and 1. We'll take it at the top, okay? And it says, and there was a famine in the land besides the first famine that was in the land of Abraham, okay? That was in the days of Abraham. Salakia, Israel. Genesis 26 and 1. And there was a famine in the land besides the first famine that was in the days of Abraham. And Isaac went on to Abimelech, Salakia for the pronunciation. Abimelech, king of the Philistines, unto Gerar, all right? So it was a famine. What's that? Ecclesiastes 1 and 9. There's really nothing new under the sun. Okay, so it was a famine. It says, and there was a famine in the land besides the first famine that was in the days of Abraham. And Isaac went on to Abimelech, the king, Amalek, the king of the Philistines, unto Gerar, all right? And it says in 11 years ago, famine spread across the planet. And the most valuable resource was farmland, okay? And if you've seen when the movie first came on, they were going through the fields, okay, trying to come up on them to steal their goods, rob them of their goods, okay? Take whatever they could get, and also take them because it was flesh eaters, okay? They were cannibals, all right? Cannibalism, okay? They was eating people because, like I said, the fungal pandemic had decimated 98% of the biosphere, okay? So the most valuable resource was farmland. And the movie, they were in Canada, all right? Because the government had messed over the farmers in America, okay? And they were, going from farmland, farm to farm, pretty much, taking all that they could get, taking all the corn, crops that were grown, and eating the people, all right? They were eating the people, okay? Again, cannibalism was in full effect, okay? Let's get to 2 Kings real quick. Let's go to 2 Kings, and let's go to 2 Kings 6. All right, and 28, okay? And it says 2 Kings 6 and 28, and it says, and the king said unto her, well, we're going to get right to the point, okay? Let's go to 2 Kings 6 and 29, all right? Getting straight to the point. It says, we'll start at 28. We'll start at 28. And the king said unto her, what alive thee? And she answered, this woman said unto me, give thy son that we may eat him today, and we will eat my son tomorrow. So we bore my son and did eat him. And I said unto her the next day, give thy son that we may eat him. And she hid her son. Okay. So this is just the spirit of the Edomites. Esau ain't gonna do right. He's incapable of doing right. Okay. But this is the time that they were in, the apocalyptic era that they were in. They were cannibals, okay? And they were eating, they were flesh eaters. And that's what they were doing. They were going from farm to farm, okay? Pillaging and plundering, okay? Killing and eating the people, taking them captive and eating them, taking their farmland, taking whatever they could get, whatever they could use, all right? Okay, and like I said, the movie was so spiritual because you could see it was, family structure. Okay, you had the father looked like he was Gad, the mother was Jake. Okay, and you had the son, and you had the two daughters. Okay, and they had chores, they had things that they had to do. Okay, and they were disciplined. They were practice, martial arts. They practice self-defense. They practice target practice. It was a military style and very disciplined family structure, with the man being the head of the household also, I might add, okay? Something that's missing this present day. Men are not in the houses like they was when I was a young man, okay? The fathers are not in the homes anymore. Where do I want to go with that? Okay, let's go here. Let's grab Corinthians, 1 Corinthians 11, okay, and 3. And it says, but I would have you know that the head of every man is Hamashiach, the anointed one, and the head of the woman is the man, and the head of Hamashiach, the anointed one, is God, the Father, okay? So that's the structure right there, okay? And they had that structure, and it lets me know also that they had a hedge around them from the Lord, okay? Because if you look at the movie, the injuries that they sustained, okay, the Lord pulled them through all. They drove spikes in the father's hands, and okay, and he was shot a couple of times and pulled through. The little girl, the cannibal, she thought she killed all them, and while she was looking for stuff, he had got up and he shot her. The mother got a knife in her back, okay? It was a very, strong hedge around that family also, and they were family oriented, okay? Until the movie took a twist, when he started letting the little head, think for the big head when he seen that girl in the pool. And, as men, we do that because I said, daggone it, damn myself when I seen her, okay? But you should have known that a woman that beautiful wasn't out there by herself. She had someone over her. She had a man over her, people over her, okay? And came to find out that she was lying. They sent her out there and sicked her on him when, he thought he had seen her. But in actuality, they had seen him and put her on him. They had been trying to get through the gate. It was an electronic gate, all right, that they couldn't get through, okay? And the only time they could get through the gate was when it was open for them to go out or come back in. And as the movie went on, that's how all that happened to them, because he was disobedient. He became disobedient and went out without telling his mother and his father, trying to chase after the girl, okay? But let's get Job. Let's grab Job real quick. Let's grab Job. All right, and let's grab Job 1 and 10. Let's grab Job 1 and 10, okay? And it says, has not thou made a hedge about him and about his house and about all that he hath on every side. Thou hast blessed the work of his hands, and the substance is increased in the land, okay? And if you see, they had a beautiful farm. They had corn, carrots, everything that you could, potatoes, they had everything. They was growing everything, all right? They were even growing cannabis, okay? And they were growing that so they could, keep the farm, okay? Pay the bills, pay this, and that kind of going to that Second Thessalonians, what's that, 3:10? If a man don't work, a man don't eat, all right? So they were, they were very, what's the word that I'm looking for? Very unified family, okay? It was a very strict family, and it was in order. All things done decently and in order as well, okay? It was structure. It was order. That's what I'm looking for. 1 Corinthians 14:40 says, let all things be done decently and in order. All right. And they had a family structure. It was a lot of order. And again, they had chores that they had to be done, that they had to do. They had practice. They had to train, they had self-defense classes. They had target classes so they could learn how to shoot. And it was just a very well-disciplined and well-orchestrated family. And again, the father was there. It looked like he was Gad, the two girls, okay, and the son and the mother, okay. So that's something that you don't see too much of nowadays, where the dads are actually in the homes like you did when I was coming up, okay. And the movie took the twist when he went out, okay. He went out, all right, behind her, okay. And that's where everything went haywire at, pretty much, because then he snuck her in also. He went out, talking about, he heard her, he let her come in, open up the gate, all right. Didn't tell his mother and didn't tell his father anything, didn't tell the adults anything. Had her in the barn shaking her little booty, dancing, and the mother and father had to come in. The mother almost killed the girl because the mom didn't play no games, okay? Neither did dad, but that brings me to a couple of scriptures right here. Ephesians. Let's grab Ephesians, okay? Let's get Ephesians, and let's get Ephesians 6. And we want Ephesians 6. And we're going to start at the top on this one. Ephesians 6:1, it says, children, obey your parents in the Lord, for this is right. Honor thy father and mother, which is the first commandments with promise, that it may be well with thee, and thou mayest live long on the earth. And ye fathers, provoke not your children to wrath, but bring them up in the nurture and admiration of the Lord, of Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai. And that's pretty much what we seen, their family structure. Again, it was so knit and so tight, And even after, they killed the little girl, after they killed all the predators that was trying to come up and, rob them of their goods, okay? They cleaned everything up. She gave them they orders what they had to do. And it was Johnny on the spot. So like I said, it was structure. It was discipline. And it was all of that until the young man, he went off about the young lady, okay? He let the little head start thinking for the big head. He let her in the gate and didn't tell his mom and dad, which was a no-no then. Once she left, he opened up the gate and slipped out, which was how they got in to begin with, okay? Got the father, he about to eat him, took a big plug out of him, had him down. And then they had the deer horns, okay? Those deer horns, he had the horns on like he was a deer roaming about. And they snuck up behind him and clonked him, okay? But Again, that goes into what's that? The serpent was the most subtle of the field, okay? And what they're saying, and Esau grew up to be a cunning hunter, all right? And that's the trickery, the deception that he has, okay? His craftiness, all right? So, like I say, the movie was very spiritual, okay? Let's get a couple of more on the children, because the young man, that's when the movie took the twist, when he opened up the gate, and went out behind the girl. Then, when he went out, she finally came clean and told him, but it was pretty much too late. They had infiltrated then, all right? Proverbs. We want Proverbs 29. Let's get Proverbs 29 and 17. And it says, Proverbs 29 and 17, correct thy son, okay, and he shall give thee rest. Yea, he shall give delight unto thy soul, okay? All right, that's what that says. Correct thy son, okay? And he shall give thee life, okay? See, and he was trained up the way a child should go. Like it says in that Proverbs 22 and 6, train up a child in the way that he should go. And when he get old, he will not depart. He was brought up right, but that's that woman, that woman, what it say, through her, we all die. Okay, that woman and that wickedness, she came in on BS. She knew instead of her telling him. So she was deceitful. I got something for that. Give me that Proverbs, okay? That Proverbs 5. And we're going to go to Proverbs 5 and 3. For the lips of a strange woman drop as a honeycomb, and her mouth is smoother than oil, but her end is bitter as woodworm, sharp as a two-edged sword. Her feet go down to death. Her steps take hold on hell, okay? So she was talking smooth and she was beautiful. She was beautiful, but it say don't lust after him either, okay? But he should have known. He should have known that. He should have known that this was a woman who had to have somebody over her. It was something. It was some kind of angle or some kind of twist. She just wasn't out there swimming by herself like that. And he thinking he following her. And they had sick on him all the time. And he opened up, all right? And Proverbs 22 and 6 says, train up a child in the way that he should go. And when he gets old, he will not depart from it, okay? But again, this is Proverbs 5, okay? And 3, it says, the lips of a strange woman drop as a honeycomb, and her mouth is smoother than oil, but her end is bitter as woodworm, sharp as a two-edged sword. Her feet go down to death. Her steps take hold of hell, okay? And this was a woman who came in on BS, all right? She knew that them people had sent her out there. Matter of fact, when he found her, she was roaming by the gate, just wondering, now what a woman doing out there dead nighttime by herself. They put her out there, sicked her out there, hoping he would open up the gate, which he did, all right? But he closed the gate back. But once she had infiltrated and got in, everything took its toll from there. And it was just fortunate enough that the mother found out she was inside the gate, inside the barn with him. And when she found that out and put her out, she left however it went. He went behind her. He went running behind her. And that's when the movie took a twist, okay? It took a turn, all right? But pretty much that was Sirach. I need Sirach, okay? I need Sirach. Let's grab these final precepts and we'll get ready to close the lesson off as far as the response video on 40 acres. Let's grab 2nd Ezra, okay? 2nd Ezra, and we need 15. Again, my apps for the Apocrypha are not up yet. I just got this phone, back up and running where I could do videos again. Second Ezra 15:5 says, Behold, saith the Lord, I will bring plagues upon the world, the sword, famine, death, and destruction. Okay, all right, and that's pretty much the movie right there. You know, it was apocalyptic era. It was, plagues had set in where 98% of the animal biosphere was, it was decimated. It was destroyed. Okay. And the most valuable resource was farmland. All right. And that's what they was growing. And you had pretty much cannibals. You had the government taking people's land. Okay. Which is the same thing they do right now. And I'm going to drop down and get ready to close this lesson out. What do we need? Sirach. We're going to close the lesson out. Sirach 12. Let's grab Sirach 12. Okay, and 10. Sirach 12 and 10. Which is Ecclesiasticus. Okay, Ecclesiasticus 12 and 10. All right. And Ecclesiasticus 12 and 10 says, Never trust thy enemy, for like as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness. Okay? It says, never trust thy enemy, for like as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness. Okay? And he took a trust in her. He opened up that gate and let her in. All right? And that turned out to be a very detrimental move. Almost cost that whole family their lives. All right? Okay? Because they was eating them, all right? They was eating them, okay? Stay right here. Let's go back to 2nd Ezra now. And we want 2nd Ezra 16. 2nd Ezra 16, okay, and 70. 2nd Ezra 16 and 70. And it says, For there shall be in every place and in every next cities a great insurrection upon those that fear the Lord. They shall be like madmen, sparing none, but still spoiling and destroying those that fear the Lord. And that's what they were doing, those cannibals, even the government. They was going from farm to farm, taking the people's land, okay? Taking the people's land, their crops, anything that they could use, their goods as a whole, all right? Okay, and hey, this is pretty much summing up the movie right now, and this is pretty much where we're about at firsthand, real time in this present day evil world as well, or should I say temporal? Okay, because it's slated for destruction. But we'll close with this 2nd Ezra 15th chapter. I just gave you 15 and 5. I'm going to start at 14, and we're going to sum this up. It says, Woe to the world and them that dwell therein, okay? For the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up to fight against another, and swords in their hands. And the modern day sword is a gun, okay? And you seen that little girl, she was an excellent marksman. She was sniping them off. She might get about 5 or 6 of them a mile away. She was sniping them where they level off the odds before they got close up on them. And it like I said, it was a very spiritual movie, very, very spiritual, okay? Again, 2nd Ezra 15 and 14. Woe to the world and them that dwell therein, for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up to fight against another, and swords in their hands. For there shall be sedition. Okay, and that says, if you go to 12 years ago, a second civil war broke out as a result of a global food chain collapse. And it says, there shall be sedition, that's your civil war right there, among men, invading one another. They shall not regard their kings, nor their princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. So he who has the gun makes the rules, okay? And that's what you saw in the movie, all right? those who were more stronger than others ruled, okay? It was lawlessness, no structure. So you had to be, very, disciplined. You had to be trained to protect your what you had, okay? And you had to, trust nobody. Like it said in Sirach 12 and 10, trust nobody. You had to look at everybody as an enemy, okay? All right. Woe to the world and them that dwell therein, for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh. One people shall stand up to fight against another, and swords in their hands. All right, and the modern day sword is a gun. And there shall be sedition, that's your civil war, among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings, nor their princes. And it was no more presidents or governors. They had pretty much killed all them, okay? And the course of their actions shall stand in their power. A man shall desire to enter into a city and shall not be able. And you seen they was trying to get through that electric gate that they had, but they couldn't, because only way they got in was when he cut the gate off and made the way so he could go out to chase after that girl, being disobedient toward his mama and daddy, doing what they told him not to do. All right. It says, a man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able. For because of their pride, the city shall be troubled, and the houses shall be destroyed, and man shall be afraid. And everybody was scared, okay? A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and of great tribulation. And that's what they were doing. They were going, that pretty much sums up the movie right there. Firsthand, real time is where we at in this present day. Also, okay, that's where we at. Firsthand, real time, and that pretty much sums up the movie, Israel. So I was just touching on some points, that I saw in the movie. I didn't want to, make it long and drawn out, but it was a beautiful movie. It was a long movie also, and that's pretty much all I have on the response video. Lord will, the lesson is edifying through the Spirit. In closing, I'd like to say, Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Rakakadash, Shalom, Kwam Yasharala, rise, Israel, rise, and Abab Abo.